been such a proliferation of sources of news, good news, bad news, fake news. I want to ask each of you, how do you personally construct a lens to better understand what's really important? David?
The vast majority of Americans don't watch the evening news, but these are very filtered in terms of the flow of information. And I really think that people get, not only do they have this proliferation of information, but also there's very little that's actually straight down the middle, just the facts. And so I think people have got two tasks. First of all, they've got to get rid of the bias in the information, and then they've just got to find a way of dealing with what is important and focusing on what is important. It's very easy to, in such a noisy environment, to lose focus on the long run. I think it's
and that long run, and David is right, Sterling, that long run is the key point. What we tell our clients is determine which media outlets are serving your needs. Odds are pretty high, they're the media outlets you've always relied on, and turn everyone else off.
But I think you're right, Rick. You've got to turn a lot of things off that have little credibility. I've found as an advisor, I think our job is harder than ever, but our job has really always been the same. It's rooted in discipline. So facts versus opinions. Opinions, I can have one, but it's my job to have a discipline and help clients navigate around their goals and distill what important facts help them make better decisions.
And as a consumer, we have to be able to understand what's the difference between information, something valuable and helpful to me, versus noise, which is nothing but a distraction that interferes with my ability to make effective financial decisions for the long term.
But I think Wall Street also shouldn't get a pass on this because, for a long time, all the research was coming out of what they call the sell side.
Right.
But the sell side research, I still read it, and it's fascinating to me as a strategist and as an economist. But it's 80 pages thick, and very often the people who are putting out these ideas are basically trying to show how brilliant they are by lofting the ball basically way over your head, and that confuses people. I think people should understand. I spend a lot of time looking at valuation charts, just a simple old forward PE ratio, and you can learn a lot from a forward PE ratio.
So David mentioned earlier that in America most people don't know how much money their best friend is earning. I'll take it a step further. In America, a great many spouses don't know how much money their spouse is earning. We never talk about it. Parents don't talk about other kids, schools don't teach it, and employers don't help either. So there's this incredible vacuum of information which just reinforces the little exposure people have, which is the market's unpredictable, just like sports and weather.
But there's there's not a vacuum of information. There's a ton of information. It's just difficult to navigate.
It's a ton of noise, not a ton of information.
Exactly. If you look at the major financial networks, if you look at literally the way their screens are built, they've got all these symbols, what are all those things going on at the bottom, and all the stuff going up and down the side, and it just is overwhelming to the average investor. And I wish, obviously a financial advisor, and we as people who advise financial advisors, were able to talk about, look, this is simply how you can lay out where we are right now. And I think the real secret to making good investments is not so much predicting the future, because people are rather bad at that. It's understanding the biases and the dislocations in where we are right now.
Most people believe that this is pure art and zero science.
Yes.
And you hear the phrase playing the market, like you play the lottery.
Exactly.
And in fact, much of what we do is extraordinarily scientific.
Discipline. It's discipline.